Welcome everybody. Got here just a little early, which is not a big deal. So if you're joining us, welcome to our second session of Demo December with Kimberbell and Material Girls. We're going to give it a few moments here, let some people join us. Hello, how is everybody? Hello, Miss Dana. Is it a rainy and gloomy day down there in Virginia like it is here? Hello, everybody. We're going to get started here in just a moment. Make sure everything is working and cooperating on my end, that I am functional. Welcome everybody to our second Demo December session. Today we're going to talk all about clear blue tiles. Hello, Miss Amy. What's the weather like in Michigan? It is gray and rainy here, although it was warmer than I thought it was going to be when I walked outside today. What's the weather like up there? Hopefully not snowing. Well, maybe you want snow. I would want snow, personally. I like snow. Yes. All right. Well, welcome everybody. Thanks so much for taking time out of your day here to join me as we chat today about clear blue tiles. That's about what it is here. Cloudy, cool, about 40. It's pretty close. So, welcome again. Today we're going to talk about clear blue tiles. Some of you are probably very familiar with clear blue tiles. I'm going to kind of briefly go over an overview of what they are, what comes with it. We're going to talk about how you use it on a quilt, but also look at some other inspiration of how you can use it outside of quilting. Hello, Miss Joanne. Welcome from Texas. You should be able, Miss Dana, she should be able just to join here. You shouldn't have to sign in to YouTube. You should be able to just watch. You just won't be able to sign in to chat, but that's okay. All right, so Clear Blue Tiles was developed to help you get the look of custom quilting and or edge-to-edge quilting on your projects by using your embroidery machine. Okay, so there is two ways that you can do it. One, custom or all over, okay, which would be in our world what we call edge-to-edge, or the look of a pantograph. Okay, but you could also do that custom look where every block has a different quilt design and things in that world. Now, what comes with clear blue tiles is going to be, there's two packages of clear blue tiles. There's an essentials and then there's an expansion pack. And we're going to talk about both, but I'm going to start with the essentials set because you can't use the expansion set without the essentials set because the designs only come in an essential set. Okay, you can buy more designs and use just the other ones, but in the essential set you get 2 slap bands, 2 water soluble pens, and then you get 26 different tiles. Okay, and you also get a USB stick with a total of 372 embroidery files. This USB is multi-formatted, Okay, so all brands of machines can use them. And there's also a exclusive little seasonal table runner house project that is available in that set. Now, the Clear Blue Tile Essential Set is going to allow you to do up to an 8 by 10 quilt design. Okay, so that's where your limit hits with the Essential Set. And then the designs that come in the Essential Set are what you see here. There are two different border styles, so border loops and border swirls. Okay. The bitty block is going to be like a little 2-inch square for like cornerstones and things like that. Then you have the 6 designs, okay, all background designs that you can use to do an all over or block by block. Okay, those 6 designs come in 22 different sizes. Okay, the border designs come in 24, and the bitty blocks only come in a 2-inch square. Okay. So here is the border tiles and the block tiles. They are in the Essential Set. So what you're looking at there is basically a piece of non-rippable template plastic that is marked with some markings. They are noted as to what size the finished block is and things along that lines. So you can see here are my tiles. Now I have my tiles. I actually punched a hole in the top of my tile, and I have all of the ones, like these are all my 2-inch tiles, these are all my 3-inch, my 4-inch. I have them strung on a book ring, and then I have a larger book ring that's holding them all together. So for me, I can just hang this one ring up on a hook in my sewing room, and all my tiles are there where I need them. The Essential Set does come in a box, okay, so you can use this box to store them with. The box here, I have all sorts of stuff in my box, but it also comes with a set of instructions as well. Okay. Now I am going to put a note of caution about those blue water-soluble markers. Okay, be very, very careful using them on your quilt. There have been some issues with the blue water soluble coming out easily, okay, with those particular markers. I don't even have them here. There's what they look like, okay, and that just test it first, because, and especially if you're not planning to wash this item, I would not use a blue water soluble marker. It is not going to disappear with the spritz of a water bottle. Okay, so just a concept there. Okay, so just be cautious when using them. Now the question becomes, what size can I use for my machine? What am I capable of using? What hoop do I need to use? Now I speak in the world of Bernina, okay, because that's what I know and that's what I sell here at Material Girls. So I'm sure that if you don't own Bernina, there is something similar to this. But what I've done is I've taken a chart. I've taken every Bernina hoop that's out there except for the 2 newest ones, are not on this list yet. But I've given you a largest square that you can fit into these hoops, as well as the widest rectangle and the longest rectangle. Because our hoops are rounded in the corners, we don't really have a full rectangular width of that hoop. Okay, so for example, if we look at this midi hoop right here in the middle, I could do a 5 by 7 rectangle in this hoop, but if I was doing a border, I could get a 2 by 10 border in this hoop. Okay, so this chart just kind of gives you an idea. Now you can always open the design on your machine, and the machine will tell you the smallest hoop possible that it will fit into. Okay, that's always an option there for you. Now, with your clear blue tile essential set in those instructions, you are going to get this little table topper, table runner. You could make it bigger, turn it into a bench pillow, lay it out differently, more square table wall hanging. But the table runner is all pieced in the hoop, at least the houses and the trees, and then you assemble. You can do both methods of quilting on this particular design. So on the winter version, okay, the same design is used in every inside block, and then the coordinating border design is used in the 4 borders, and one of the little bitty designs is used in the 4 corners, okay? And then in the Halloween version over on the right, that table topper or table runner was quilted with an all over design. So it's the same design from left to right all over the entire quilt. What's really great about clear blue tiles is that they are in the same scale. So no matter what size design you pick, and if your project has the different size tiles required, no matter what size you choose, the designs are going to look and be the same size or scale. That makes sense. So we're looking at here, you're looking at a file that's the 4x6 file and the 8x12. The size of these flowers are the same, no matter if you're looking at the 4x6 or the 8x12. So I could easily put both of these size files into one project and I would be good. You wouldn't be able to tell where one size was used versus the other. Whereas if we had originally done this on our own, you probably would have taken that 4x6 and then blew it up as big as you can to fit your hoop. Well, then that's going to start changing the size of these flowers. And the continuity or the integrity is not going to be there for them. So this way, with clear blue tile files and all Kimberbell quilting files, you can mix and match your sizes and you won't be able to tell. Okay? Now, the way that clear blue tiles works is really as simple as these 3 steps. We place the tile on our project. We mark it. Okay? There are center markings. Okay, some crosshairs, the center. You can mark your corner, okay? And then we put it in the hoop. We make some alignment, positioning changes, and then we would quilt, okay? Or stitch the project, even if it wasn't going through a quilt sandwich. Now, depending upon the design, you can mix and match as you would like I said. So for example, if we look over here on this quilt picture, the white section here was done in we'll say a 4x8 rectangle, but we have this block that's to the left of it, and then we have another block to the left of it that are 2 different fabrics. So I could, if I wanted, I could probably choose a 4x4 square to do this top one and a 4x4 square to do the bottom one in a totally different design. Or I can use that same 4x8, lay it on top, and quilt the same design that would cover both of those squares. Okay? Now, that's the clear blue tile method. Okay, there are 2 ways to use Kimberbell quilting files. Clear blue tiles, we're using the plastic tile to mark our placement. Okay, and then we are positioning and quilting. For those of you that do embroider, you are probably very familiar with the Kimberbell quilting files and quilting your blocks by block. Okay, So you would quilt a block, embroider it, and then set it to the side. Go through and repeat those steps of quilting and embroidering, and then assemble the quilt. Okay, everything will be quilted. When you go to put the back on, you can stitch in the ditch, but you won't need to do any of that fancy quilting, okay, that you tell yourself you're no good at. Okay, so that is the block by block method. The way that block by block works, if you're not familiar, is that in the design, it includes the batting placement line, the tack down line, fabric placement, and fabric basting. Okay, so there's 4 steps included prior to the actual quilt design in the block by block method. Okay, and so if you've been embroidering and doing quilting, this is very, very familiar to you with that particular method. Also, with doing it this way, you also remove the batting from your seams, so you won't have to worry about really thick seams when you're sewing your 1/4 inch. Then we have the expansion set, which is the same function as the essentials, except it contains the tiles that would allow you to do 12 inches, 14 inches, and 12 and 14. Ignore that 8 by 18, that's a typo. It's 12 inch and 14 inch in length. Okay, and then a variety of widths within inside of that. This is sold separately as an optional expansion set because not everybody has hoops or machines that are capable of those particular sizes. So the essential sets contains the most common embroidery hoop field sizes, and the expansion has those with larger fields. Okay. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about the Kimberbell quilting designs themselves. Okay. So, if you've ever gone to the Kimberbell quilting site, okay, you should always go through that, get to that site through my affiliate link. Okay, so that link that I just put in the comment, you can also find on the homepage of our website. Let me throw that over here so you can see it. So if you go to materialgirlsquilt.com, scroll on down a little bit, you'll see where it says Kimberbell Quilting. If you click that link right there, that will take you to the Kimberbell quilting site. That looks like this. And what that does is it's an affiliate link. I make a small commission off of your purchase so that you can continue to feel like you are supporting Material Girls through that method. And we greatly appreciate you using your Kimberbell affiliate links. Okay. Most of you may not realize that there is a reason that certain quilt designs on the Kimberbell site are stitched on certain color fabrics. Okay? There is a reason for that. If you see a quilting design stitched on the black fabric, those are borders. Okay, those are going to work with both the clear blue tile and the block by block method. Okay, anything stitched on the turquoise or teal fabric is an all over design that's going to be available in both clear blue tile and block by block. The orange files that you see stitched only are available in a block by block format. And the reason for that is because they are very geometric. It's not an all over. There are travel stitching and there's over stitching in the outside edges. So those orange files are only available with block by block options. Okay. Now, when you look at a USB stick with or download your designs from Kimberbell, you would navigate to the quilting files, choose your format, your design, all that. Then you will see two different folders. The block by block would be the one that includes those placement lines that you're going to do prior to embroidering on it. And then you have the clear blue tile method, which removes those placement lines and allows you to use the tile templates to mark your placement. Okay, so you want to make sure that you choose the right format or type of design that you plan to use. Now, many of you, especially during the pandemic and things like that, quilting with the embroidery machine took off, and we taught a lot of classes using edge-to-edge quilting methods before clear blue tiles became available. So many of you may be familiar with Amelie Scott's method of edge-to-edge quilting. What is the difference between the two of them? Okay, clear blue tiles don't join, touch, or overlap, at least not on purpose. Okay, if you accidentally mark it wrong or get it positioned wrong, it may touch or overlap, but they're not designed to. Whereas the Amelie Scott designs are designed to join and touch each other from left to right. Top to bottom, they're rows, they don't touch, but left to right, you'll see right here at this red arrow, right here is where design 1 ends. You would rehoop and then line up and move your positioning until that needle point goes right down where that one ended, and this is where this design picks up at. Okay, so it's designed to be truly continuous in that world. But the Kimberbell clear blue tile method, they are close together. You really have to look hard when you're looking at an all over quilt design to notice where things may not touch or really notice it in general. Okay, so for example, this was just a sample piece here. This is one row. Okay, so it's actually 3 designs that were marked and quilted. And in general, looking at this, at a glance, you really wouldn't be able to tell that they didn't touch or join. Okay, that's a jump stitch right there. Okay, and remember, this is a solid piece of fabric. You would be working on a quilt that had, pattern and seams and pieced intersections and stuff like that. So really, it'll be much more challenging to see that. And you can see down on this end, we've got, here is one size file, here's another size file, here is another size file, and here's a border file. So the size of those loops are the same, and that's where the scaling comes in. That's really nice to have, that you can mix things up. Okay, and another option. Okay, a little bit busier, done in the quilt. Okay, you really can't tell from this side where it starts and where one design ends. Okay, but you can see on the back where things were marked and placed. Okay, hopefully this makes sense for you. We're gonna do one here in a moment. I'm gonna show you, we're gonna walk through it. And because 3 colors weren't enough, we have a 4th color now on Kimberbell Quilting Designs, and they are stitched on gray. And the gray is a new style. It is a border only, and only in the block by block version. Okay, so those borders, they are continuous repeated patterns, very geometric, linear in nature. They're digitized in certain and custom lengths so that they will work with sizing, and they will also contain the markings to remove the seam allowance of the batting. Okay, and you would rehoop this as you work through. So let me show you. Okay. Here is this border. Okay, this is the No Place Like Home pillow event that Kimberbell had. So all of these blocks were pieced block by block. Okay, so they were quilted and then embroidered on top of. Quilted, embroidered, you know, all that stuff. These borders, this was embroidered or quilted using a block by block border and a method to come back and rehoop and join again. I matched the blue so well, you can't even tell that it is quilted on the outside, but this was also quilted with Kimberbell quilting. Okay, so those you will find with marked with the gray option up on Kimberbell's website. Okay. Now, there is a lot more that we can do with clear blue tiles beyond just quilting a quilt or quilting a table topper. We can use these clear blue designs, these clear blue tile designs. They're kind of like redwork designs in the fact that they are single stitched all over stitch designs. So you could easily make and quilt pockets so that's a pocket of a tote bag there on the right. This is a little quilted section of an apron that was done with the clear blue tile option. Here is a plain white apron. Okay. How many of you have made aprons you've embroidered up top and then the rest of it just looks so plain because we haven't added anything else? Well, here's where clear blue tiles can come in handy. That bottom border of the apron, you can do clear blue tiles on. The strap, it's probably a good 1.25 inches wide. You could quilt a 1-inch border, okay, on that particular strap. Her velveteen bags, her felt bags. So Miss Dana has a question. Do you quilt the border before attaching it to the quilt? Yes. When doing the the block by block borders, we do those prior to joining the border to the pillow, okay, because it will be multi-hooped in that aspect. And you do get instructions with the download design for the block by block borders that will walk you through it, and I believe they are in the process of putting up videos and education on them as well. I think they really just, there may only be like 2 or 3 designs, and then they've just launched another one, so they're slowly adding more to this category. So education will get up there. This design or this project, if you have a Bella box from, it's called Handmade Holiday, from 2 years ago, I think. This was taking one of her dish towels, and you can either add handles to it, or we quilted a little border. Not really quilted, we stitched that design, okay? Or we added it here to this white section, stitched to the towel to add just something to the project. And it's not a quilt, that's a dish towel that we stitched on, okay? Nothing overly fancy in that world. So to demonstrate for you a couple of things. So 1 second here, let me show you. Miss Dana says she's got to quilt her love notes. So when you go to Kimberbell's website, at the top they have things broken down by category. So by project is going to give you a every Kimberbell project that they have particular designs for broken down for you. and then you can then see the exact designs that get done for each project. Okay, so you can also very easily go back and choose, you know, you're looking for designs that are only block by block, and your borders, everything. So it's really very easily, there's a lot more designs than what were just done. And with the designs, you get designs in all sizes. So every time you buy a design, you're going to get it in 22 different sizes and things like that. So you're not having to buy multiple different designs. You just buy it once, you instantly download it, and you have all 22 files ready and available for you. Okay, let's walk through some stitching. Okay. We are going to stitch on a tea towel, okay, today. So I am going to take this tea towel and we're going to put a border down here at the bottom of this tea towel. We're going to dress it up a little. This is toweling by the yard that we sell here, and when you buy it by the yard, you buy as much as you want. The two long edges are already hemmed for you, and you just have to hem the bottom. Now I haven't hemmed it yet. I just folded it up so that I could see where I needed to put things. I am going to use a wash away stabilizer. Okay, so I have Aqua Mesh Plus in my hoop, and I have loaded it in my hoop with the paper side up. I'm going to use my large oval hoop because that is the design size that fits in this hoop. I'm going to be using the 4x8, and I'll tell you how I know that's the one I'm going to use. Okay. Now, I'm going to put this on the machine, and I'm going to run the Kimberbell crosshairs. Okay, and we're going to let that run while we talk about the other design portion of this design. Let me get my crosshairs up, and then we'll talk about crosshairs too. Okay. All right. I got my towel all prepped. It was all hemmed, it was ironed, everything was good to go. I measured my towel. One second here. Let's get this machine and thread to cooperate with me. I measured the length of my towel and decided that how wide was I from left to right. Woo! I am having difficulty talking here today. All right. This towel is 16 inches just inside. It's almost 16 inches from inside the two hems. Okay? So I said, well, if it's 16 inches, I could easily get two 8-inch long pieces. If this was like 15 inches, I would probably do and center like two 12-inch ones, okay, in that aspect. Or you could do a couple of different sizes. You could do, you know, a 4x8, you could do a 4x6 and things along that lines, okay. So I went with the 4x8. I can do two hoopings. I'm going to fold my towel in half and I'm going to find center. Because I'm going to do two hoopings, and center for me is going to be how convenient it is to be right on a line in my towel. There. I'm going to have one design here and one design here. So with the clear blue tile, I would take the tile. I'm going to put the tile here and I'm going to position it exactly where I want it to be. Now I want the end of my design to be right at my midpoint. I'm going to come up a little bit to be right above the hem of my towel. And I'm going to mark these lines. I'm going to mark center dot. I'm going to mark these lines. Now I'm not worried too much about having to actually physically mark this arrow because this pattern's not directional for me. Okay. I'm going to make these lines longer. And you'll see why I'm going to make them longer. I'm not going to worry too much about this one, but the length I'm going to make longer so that we can use some placement lines and placement tools in our machine to get them ready, to get them aligned. Now, once those are marked, because I do have a second hooping that's going to attach to this one, to make sure that you get yourself lined up, she has you mark these corners. Okay, so we put those little marks, and then that way I can take this one and butt it right up next to that mark, and I can mark this corner. And then I can mark these lines, that center, and I don't need to worry about marking the opposite corner because I'm not going to continue on. So there is one hooping, and this is a second hooping. Now, I've already got one hooping already stitched on this end, so we're going to, there's one. Now, I got my crosshair is stitched in here. Okay. Get this thread out of the way. She has a method that she has you take a thumbtack up from the bottom. Okay, so you take a thumbtack up from the bottom. Let me see, do I have a thumbtack? No, I don't know where my thumbtacks are. That's okay. Thumbtack up from the bottom, and then you would take and align the center dot, okay, right on top of it, and then straighten everything out. You would want to use your plastic template to make sure that you've got your design in your hoop straight. Now, if you have a Bernina with the embroidery plus features, okay, that's my center. I'm going to get it someplace close. I'm going to use pinpoint placement, so I'm really not going to fuss that much about getting this in the hoop. I just want to get it somewhere close. Okay, so I just put it in the hoop. Nothing fancy. Not worried about marking center, not worried about if it's straight or not. We're going to fix it. We are going to make it straight. All right, so here's my design. The first thing that you're going to do once we get this on the machine, I'm going to open up the right size file. One second, let me get it on the actual machine. Files located. We're doing the clear blue tile method, and I want to open up the 4x8 design on the stick. Okay, so the first thing I need to do is make sure that I have center aligned. So on my machine, I'm going to come and I'm going to choose the I to select the edit function. Okay, we're going to open up edit. And then down here on the side, you have a function that has the word check in it. I'm going to open that up. That's going to put a box around it with the 4 arrows in the corner. I want this center function right here. This little bullseye is going to take my machine and my, let's change over here so you can see when I hit this button. So when I hit that center function, my machine travels to what would be center of this design. Okay, And I'm going to lower my needle, and my center is over here. So I'm going to use my stitch width knob to move me to the left. A couple more stitches. And then I'm going to move my stitch length knob to move me down. Okay. Now my centers are aligned. All right. We are now going to look at pinpoint. So I'm going to come up to the top. I'm going to choose the small I to close out of the centering function, and we're going to choose pinpoint. Pinpoint is this little square with a square on angle, and we're going to choose the pinpoint function with the grid. Okay. With this style of pinpoint, we're going to choose 2 points. I'm going to choose this top center point. So I'm going to click on that top point, and that's where my hoop just moved. And I want my needle to go down right where that line that I drew longer is. And I actually need to come over just a tad. Too far. So I'm going to move my design. I'm going to use my width or length knob to move my design, get it where I need it, and then I'm going to hit the word set. Okay, I'm going to move this over so that you can see when I hit the bottom center function. Okay, so now I'm going to touch the bottom center dot. My machine moves down to the bottom center. And my design is a little bit to the right. So I'm going to use my width knob again, and I'm going to move my design, and move my machine basically, or move my hoop, till that line and the needle match up. Okay, so I'm going to move this. And what you're going to see is as you do this, that your top dot that you already hit set on isn't going to move. Only the bottom is. So when you think of pinpoint, that first time you hit set, you are kind of nailing the design down, if that makes sense. And now any change you make is going to be, that becomes the pivot point. Okay. So I'm going to hit set on my design. And my design is kind of at an angle, and that's okay because it's going to stitch straight. That is the angle the towel is in my hoop at. Okay, I need it to stitch that way so that it will be straight when I take my design out of the hoop. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and we're going to do embroidery. Now, depending on if this was a quilt or anything like that, you may want to pull your thread to the top. If you were going to quilt a quilt, you may want to adjust your knotting functions and things along that lines. This is just a dish towel, so I'm not going to go into all that. And we're going to let it stitch. Do I have any questions about pinpoint, about clear blue tile? Because I'll be happy to answer them. So your code word for today is right down below. Our code word for today is holly. We have one more design, one more demo before the design is available. I am stitching this design today with variegated thread. And I have a special 24-hour discount for everyone who is watching here for today. So today, for the next 24 hours, so from noon on Tuesday to noon on Wednesday, Clear Blue Tiles Essentials, and the expansion set, and the variegated thread that we have all in stock are 20% off up online. Okay, it's an automatic discount. So you don't have to do anything but put it in your cart. The Pinpoint is not on the 570s. It's 7s, 590s, and up on those particular machines. But I'll show you, let me grab the template. So with the 570 and not having Pinpoint, I would use the thumbtack method. Let me see if I can locate my thumbtacks. I know I have a, oh, there they are. Found my big giant box of thumbtacks. So, thumbtack. Let me get a little example here so that you can see. We're going to pretend. Okay. So in your embroidery hoop, you would have stabilizer and everything. This thumbtack would be coming up from the bottom, up through the stabilizer, right in the crosshair. And then you would take your thumbtack and bring it up right in the middle crosshair on your project. Then I would take my template and I would lay my template down and position my fabric so that the straight of the lines that I drew matches the crosshairs on my template. And that's going to help make sure that you get it in straight. Okay? And that's really only if I was doing like dish towels and aprons and things like that. For your quilts and whatnot, you're going to have seams and you'll have lines and things like that that you can use to do your marking. Once you get this in the hoop, the most important thing is take the thumbtack out before you take it to your machine to hit go. Okay, that's a very important step. Okay, I'm gonna let that run for a second. Oh, you're very welcome, Miss Debbie. I figured that for most people, some of us, I mean, for the most part with quilting, you're going to get it in pretty straight. You're not working with anything, you know, like super flimsy. But if you just want to verify that you've got it in just right, we've got clear blue tiles and Pinpoint. So why not do them both? Okay. There's our quilting. So the only reason right now that you can see that there were two designs is because it's in a hoop. But if I pop this out, now we all know the trick, right? When you're cutting away your stabilizer, you should always be cutting away your stabilizer with your stabilizer towards the table and your project on top. This way you can see where your project is. If you try to do this the other way, like this, you run a larger possibility of cutting something you didn't mean to cut, like your project. So always keep your project on top, pull it forward, and trim. Okay. The rest of this will wash away when I'm done. And there is my towel. I will iron off my lines and I will go and sew my actual hem that I have. But there is your project. There's your clear blue tile, not on a quilt. Okay. I mean, even on like the bottom of a t-shirt, easily on knit, you know, the bottom of a knit t-shirt, you could add just a little bit of embellishment. Sometimes we just need a little bit. What do we have? Like scarves, like pashmina scarves, things along that lines. Very delicate fabric, silk, that type of thing, that really can't hold a lot of embroidery or dense embroidery. The clear blue tile and the quilting design aspect of embroidery adds the ability for you to decorate or embellish without changing the hand of the actual fabric. Well, I hope you learned something today. And I hope that we'll see you back here next week at noon, next Tuesday, where we're going to talk about all the things coming in 2023 with Kimberbell and Material Girls. I just want to thank you so much for taking time out of your lunch today to join me, and I hope to see you all soon. Thank you, everybody.